Figurehead Standard Amplified Blue Eyes White Dragon. Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we have the Figurehead Standard Amplified Blue Eyes White Dragon from Bandai. And yes, I actually bought 3 of them, just so I could be like Kaiba, minus the money. But was it worth it? Let's take a look. The Blue Eyes White Dragon was released in March of 2023. I was only able to get one pre-order from HobbyLink Japan for around $55.35 Canadian, and about 2 from my local hobby shop for $82.99 Canadian. And you might be wondering, oh wow, it's so much cheaper than Japan, why didn't I order more? Well, they only allowed one pre-order, and when you include shipping and import fees, the price would be similar to my local hobby shops. Well, that's enough of that, let's start the review. Beginning with the box art, and boy, this illustration looks awesome. This is the first Amplfied model kit from YuGiOh. Gotta say, they chose a really good box art for it. Now, I might actually keep this one. And surprisingly enough, the box isn't actually that big. It's around the size of a high grades box. Now on the side of the box, we got a picture of the model kit painted up, so it won't actually look like this when you finish building it. And we have a small description of what is Figurehead Standard Amplified. So it is not exactly what you see in the anime. There's also a display of all the runners available in this kit. And yeah, that's not that many, so gonna be a relatively quick build. On the other side of the box, we got an image highlighting the movement on the head. A small text box about the color, because despite being called the White Dragon, it's usually depicted kind of blue, and the model kit is no exception. But like I said, this thing is painted, so it's gonna look white here. There's also some more description detailing how large the wings are, which is pretty big, 265 millimeters. There's an image emphasizing the flexibility of the neck, which comes from copper wires that comes with the kit. And lastly, we got some aerial poses, and you can copy this pose with the Action Base 3 that comes with this kit. And after playing around with it, I gotta say the Action Base does a pretty good job. Now onto the kit itself. I present to you the Figurehead Standard Amplified Blue Eyes White Dragon. This kit is a complete straight build, did not come with any stickers, and I chose not to panel line it, because I think it would ruin the gray, glossy, white, bluish, milky, whatever plastic. Well, all I can say is it's not pure white, and panel lining will ruin it, in my personal opinion. As for build, since you saw on the box how little runners there are, this kit was surprisingly a very quick build, only taking me 4 to 5 hours. The nubs are actually quite forgiving, so when you shave them off or improperly cut them, they're not too exposed, and the only minor difficult part was assembling the wings. And since we're on that topic, be very careful with the amount of force you're applying when you clamp the wings together, because you might end up breaking it like I did. Thankfully, there's liquid cement. And due to the design of the wings, when you clamp them together, the other piece will support this broken side, and you can barely notice it. Go figure, this happened on the last Blue Eyes I built. The other 2 had no issues whatsoever. And as a friendly reminder, always have some plastic glue on hand. In addition, when assembling the wings, there are pre-cut holes on the wing membrane where the pegs on the wings are supposed to go through. The holes are a little tight, so I highly recommend using a tweezer just to pre-poke the hole. Now this next part isn't a complaint, I'm just telling you that there is a copper wire that's supposed to run through the neck and tail, and you're only given 1 copper wire, not 2, so you just have to cut it to length. And the manual will show you how long it should be. Other than the wings, it was a very easy build, and I highly recommend it for beginners. And just being a straight build, the end result is a very beautiful looking kit. And personally, I actually like the Amplified design more than the anime depiction. The design is very pointy all around, and there's quite a bit of surface level detail molded right onto the kit. I mean, you could just see the face alone already has a lot of surface level detail. The wrinkles around the eyes add more depth to the kit. In addition, with the muscle striation on the arms and legs, it gives the kit a very organic look. And though there's not much colored part separation, I find that the hard sharp edges of the blue eyes help break up all that white. And though you might not notice at first, the use of these nice white parts for the spikes, I find definitely adds to the kit, even though you might not notice them at first. Despite being majority a white kit, the blue wings, eyes and mouth do add some level of contrast, though still very minimally. Overall, in terms of appearance, the kit looks absolutely beautiful, and pretty much I got no complaints there. So with that being said, let's move on to the articulation. Alrighty, starting with the head, the mouth can open and close this far. It's a little difficult with one hand just because the mouth is kind of stiff. But yeah, we got a pretty big mouth opening, and the tongue can move up and down as well. The head can't do a 360, but it is able to rotate around this far, and it can look up and down this much. He also has these 2 plates on the back of his head that can move up and down. And like I said earlier, the whole neck has a copper wire inserted right into it, giving it some pretty decent flexibility, which you'll definitely need because it has such a long neck. And lastly, the base of the neck is only able to rotate this far. The spiky shoulders has a limited range of motion, though it moves completely separately from the arm. The arm is able to abduct and adduct this far, and once again I'm able to yank the forearm off. Just gonna keep it off for now. As I was saying earlier, the arm is able to abduct and adduct this far. The upper bicep could fully 360 rotate, and the elbow is able to extend and bend this far, which is pretty good. As for the hands, they're not on a ball joint, they're actually on a hinge joint, allowing it to have a really sharp bend of the wrist, as well as being able to rotate about. Though I do like the design of the hand, unfortunately none of the fingers can move. Coming to the body, the upper part of the torso can move up and down, as can the segment here near the hips, and the arm falls off. And here's a side view of that, very minimal back extension and ab crunch. And the whole torso can only rotate this much. I also forgot to mention this, but the base of the neck actually can move independently up and down. Now coming to the wings, it is able to do a full 360 rotation. The wings are also able to internal and externally rotate very slightly, and this joint over here on the wing is able to extend and bend this far. Despite being a very massive part of the kit, there's not much articulation here, though it does make sense because due to the design of the wings, the thin membrane is one piece, so any bending or movement will just damage it. Now coming down to the leg, it has a very limited range of motion for abduction. The leg could perform a full 360, though the arm does get in the way. The knee could extend this far and bend this much. Pretty good range of motion here. As is the ankle, which could bend this much. Now coming onto the foot, it suffers from the same problem as the hands. It's one solid piece with the only joint being at the top of the foot. That can fall off. Now if it doesn't fall off, it could 360 rotate and has a pretty good dorsiflexion. Lastly, we have the tail. Most of the segments of the tail is made up of that copper wire, similar to that of the head, with the last couple of segments being a peg and ball joint that comes off pretty easily if you pull it, like those lizards that could have their tail fall off. And like the neck, due to the copper wire, it's pretty flexible. As you can see with this wave over here. Ooh, oh, yep, tail detaches. Not the best in terms of articulation, though I think it's Bandai's way of not over-engineering the kit. It could also be that the Blue Eyes is a brand new mold, so it might suffer from the limitation of being the first of its kind. Since Bandai don't normally make dragons, you can still pose with it and it holds the position fairly well, so it's got that going for it. Next up we got extras and accessories. Pretty much because Blue Eyes standing there on the ground looks kinda stupid. We are given two adapters, one from the bottom, one from the top, allowing you to position the action base how you want it. Bandai cleverly hid these attachment points for the adapters over here and under here, giving it a cleaner look and allowing you to interchange the adapters. And lastly, this kit does come with an action base, specifically the action base 3, and it's the exact same one you would get if you purchase it separately. You got the base, a smaller runner with some extra adapter pieces, which will not be used for this kit, and the main runner with the arms and other adapter pieces that majority of which you won't ever use, but you can keep them for future uses. The manual will show you how to build it and what pieces to actually utilize, and if you never built an action base before, it's super easy. If you build a model kit, you could definitely build this. Now to make this video short, I'm not going to be reviewing the whole action base 3, only the pieces I actually need for this kit. We got the base and the piece over here for the arms to actually attach to. Next up we got the two arms that will attach to each other and then attach that piece earlier. Each arm comes with its own locking mechanism, allowing you to adjust the angles. Now just attach the two arms, the ridges should be facing each other. Hook the arms together, then attach it to the base. I also forgot to mention that it comes with 3 different lengths of this clear plastic piece that wedges right in between the two arms. You're also going to need to cut out this adapter piece for the peg on the base and the Blue Eyes to attach to, thus allowing you to pull off some cool flying poses. And I gotta say, that's the only way you should pose this kit, just because it looks kinda dopey standing on the ground. Like, come on, it's a giant dragon with big wings, it's gotta fly. And because I have 3 of these, the action base comes with these connectors to attach more action bases around them. The whole flock looks pretty nice flying side by side. It also takes so much space I actually have to zoom out all the way. Trying to fit it in the cabinet is gonna be a big issue. Well, that's it for extras and accessories. Let's see how solid this kit is. Needless to say, a pretty solid kit. Nothing fell off, and only because of the sheer size of the wings, they rotated slightly. But other than that, completely solid. Now on to some measurements. If you're wondering, the whole wingspan of this thing is around 22 inches or 55.88 centimeters. Something tells me it won't fit in my detolfs. Now if you're wondering how long it is, it's around 13 inches or 33 centimeters. And when standing fully erect, it's 8 inches.
Nice.
Or roughly 20 centimeters. As for some size comparison, here it is next to the entry grade Arc-72, master grade Arc-72, a Takara Tomy Omega Rex, Figurized Standard Angemon, Haro, DK, Doraemon, a wooden Jeep, the real grade God Gundam, gotta review that, a pen, and the Zendorg I gotta build. As for shelf presents, here's one. It's impossible to fit all three in there. I won't have to make room in my big shelf. Oh boy. But that's a problem for another day. So concludes my review. What are my final thoughts? I think it's a pretty good kit. Was a relatively easy build aside from the wings, though a model kit I still recommend for beginners. Articulation is limited, but it can still pull off a variety of cool poses. I do find the price kind of expensive. It doesn't come with much extras, but at least it has the action base, which does a pretty decent job holding it up, though I would prefer the action base one. Nonetheless, the Blue Eyes is a very solid kit, and in my personal opinion, it's an absolute beautiful one. I definitely do not regret buying 3 of them. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I hope you like it. I enjoy making it. Let me know what you think. I did not expect Bandai to start making Yu-Gi-Oh kits, but I for one hope they don't stop. I've always loved the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, but I just can't read, so playing the card game is definitely out of the question. So having these model kits is definitely a good alternative. And I'll have you know, I already pre-ordered the Amplfied Exodia, can't wait for that to come in, and I look forward to the future Yu-Gi-Oh kits. I already know they're gonna make a Dark Magician, but I hope they do make a Buster Blader as well. What monster would you want to be turned into a model kit? Let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, take care, bye!